to Health 2025. I'm Eloise McLennan, Pharmaphorum Deep Dive editor, and I have with me some lovely guests. Would you like to all introduce yourselves?
Thank you very much. My name is Malin Johansson. I'm heading up digital health partnerships and integrated treatment solution in international operations at Novo Nordisk.
And I'm Eugene Borukhovich, co-founder and CEO of YourCoach Health. We're a lifestyle interventions company, and I'm a recovering pharma executive.
Whoa, this is the world's smallest microphone, but I'm sure it works. David Klein, founder and CEO of Therapeutics, and thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, we've just brought them all off the stage. Eugene, you put everybody on the spot on the stage by asking what everybody's buzzword is that they would like to eradicate at the moment, the one that's really annoying them. So, Eugene, what's your buzzword?
So I'm actually going to give away what Malin said earlier on stage. I am going to duplicate it, and it is AI. And I actually rewind back almost a decade ago in pharma. AI was already starting to buzz. And, my question was, who's actually doing the work, who understands the work, and what are the actual implications of it from a patient perspective, but also from a value chain perspective. So still being used and overused, but it's real, it's here, and we all got to acknowledge it, accept it, and figure out what to do.
We can't escape AI anymore.
We just can't.
got to make sure we
That's
use
the
it
reality.
appropriately.
Yep.
Now, one of the biggest things we talked about is trust. Trust in pharma, trust in tech, trust in data. But how do you actually build trust within these partnerships? So, Eugene, I'm going to start with you.
Look, we always say, actually, at YourCoach, that people work with people, not logos. And at the end of the day, if you're not a direct-to-consumer business, you're a B2B business. That means relationships. It's understanding what people's needs are. It's coming together and figuring out what, at the end of the day, if, we're all, or many of us are for-profit businesses and need to figure out how to make things work for the patient at the center and their livelihood and success.
And David, we were talking on stage about the idea of success. You're loving that little mic.
I love it. It's like a toothpick that you talk into.
It's a secret microphone.
No, it's phenomenal.
We're talking about partnerships, but what does a successful partnership between a tech company or a health tech and a pharma company look like in practice?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And Click is in successful partnerships that we have been for now, 6+ years with pharma companies. And I think that's twofold. I mean, to Eugene's point on trust, I think, first of all, there's the basics, right? People should spend time in person with each other. And that's important. But, barring that, do what you say you're going to do, right? If anything, under promise and over deliver, and not the other way around. So I think doing what you say you're going to do, and building actual human relationships are really critical, and generate mutual value, right? And I would say rely on each other's synergies, and don't try to duplicate them. I think that's a real fault, to try to for us to try to duplicate what pharma has, or them to try to duplicate what we have. Part of the synergy is really that yin yang kind of relationship, where we have some things they might not have, and they have some things we might not have.
It comes back to what Eugene was saying on stage about pitching to the entrepreneur. Why should entrepreneurs partner with pharma when they have a lot of skills themselves? Now, Malin, coming to you.
Mm-hmm.
We talk quite a lot about partnerships, but one thing we do need to acknowledge when you're talking about tech and pharma is that there are quite a few cultural differences between those two worlds. So how do you foster and manage those relationships when you do have those two different mindsets? How do you try and find that middle ground where you are, as David said, bringing the best of both of your worlds together and not trying to overdo the other one?
But it goes back a bit to the trust piece, because trust is also about, it's like in any relationship, you have to have shared values. You have to have a transparency also around expectations. Because if the startup goes in and think that they will launch something in 3 months, and obviously that is not going to happen. So I think it is about making sure that everyone understands the expectations, the milestones, and also to commit to those. And if there is any delays, from either party, you acknowledge that, and you say that up front, right? So you're not waiting, and that's all about the trust.
Eugene looks like he
Yeah,
wants to
I want to add just one more thing, is speaking the same language, or having the right people on the combined team that can translate the, a first-time health tech entrepreneur will have no idea what MLR is, as an example, right? So I think that translation, and this is how you come up with a joint value proposition, but speaking the same language is important.
So how important is it to have, I would call them bilingual teams, the teams that can speak those both languages and do it upfront at the beginning? How important is that?
My 2 cents is that's everything, but also I think, kind of echoing David's point earlier, everybody needs to do what they do best, as long as you can connect those dots and marry the two. And so part of the team needs to be that translator who's maybe health tech background but spent time in pharma. So,
and in your experience, what strategies have you used to help you bridge that gap and find those balancing points so that you are bringing the best of both worlds and making sure that you are both speaking the same language?
I think being very, very proactive in removing barriers, anticipate what will come, also remove maybe people that is working on, in teams that delays things. Being that proactive engine has helped tremendously, and not just react and solve things when they come. That has gave us a lot of speed, but also a lot of trust and respect. I think working with partners, because there will always be barriers.
Does that help you overcome barriers as well? Is acknowledging that they are arising when they do, and not trying to,
and but also to help, because we have done this so many times. We have worked with partners so many times. We know what to expect, and in different stage of the partnership, we know what will be facing them. It can be anything from procurements to MLR to compliance questions, to operational questions, and being upfront, saying this will come, and let's work together to actually to minimize the damage, because there will be damage.
And it's interesting having both sides of the coin here. I'd like to know what your non-negotiables are when you're looking to enter into a partnership.
For me, it has to be a cultural fit. It has to be good people. I have to work with good people that is willing to bring in their best teams, and really do it for a joint purpose. If it's just about the money, or the marketing or whatever, that does not fly. So a good cultural fit is super important.
Eugene, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, the very short version of it is, I call it, close the loop. And that needs to be part of the DNA of the project, because, both entrepreneurs, but also large companies, it's different speeds, right? A 7-day or a week for a startup, it kind of is a year in pharmaceutical terms or large company terms. So closing the loop quickly on everybody's timeline is, to me, is a non-negotiable set up front, right? Just
David?
Yeah, so that's tough. I had so much time to think about this too. I'm going third and still don't have a great answer. I mean, I guess that when I really reflect on it, we probably have a view that pretty much everything is negotiable. That said, I do think Malin's point on a culture fit and on alignment is just critical. I mean, that's what really makes things work. And I think you actually, if there's one thing I learned, and actually it was kind of interesting. One of our board members asked me this question, so I really reflected on it. What have I learned? I've learned that you really get a sense of kind of what the culture is like actually from the beginning of the kind of negotiations. That actually does end up carrying through, and it's a pretty good, accurate reflection on who you're going to be working with, and is it a fit, and so on and so forth. So
it's almost a bit of a gut feeling for you now.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think it's a little deeper than that. It's kind of evidence based, but there's somewhat of a gut feeling. But I think that culture fit, and if it's not a culture fit, and if the teams don't kind of have somewhat of a mind meld, right, where there's real alignment, in the way that you work together and the cultures, it's just going to be very hard to get what needs to be done. So it's certainly better to have that kind of stuff.
And I think I'd add one more thing to that, which is honesty and transparency. When you come up against problems, are they honest and open about what's happening, or do they try and solve it without telling you? That's a key indicator of whether or not that partnership will work out in the long run.
Yeah, I would agree. And, that can't be rebuilt either, right? And we've always been kind of more on the, like I said, under promise and over deliver side, really cognizant of, if you don't do what you're committed to doing, that really backfires in a way that's almost impossible to recover from. So I'd say honesty, transparency, just like any relationship, right, is what makes relationships in life effective, let alone partnerships, I think, in my view.
And coming to my last few questions, first of all, if you could snap your fingers right now and solve any problem within the pharma plus, the drug plus, as you call it, or the health tech space, what would it be and why? David, you got the mic, so you're going to go first.
Okay. If I could solve any problem in that space, it's a good question. I would probably look. I think generally speaking, many companies don't want to be first or second, and they'll want to see commercial proof of these types of things. I think, that we're at a time in space where data and innovators will ultimately rue the day, right? And these things take time to build, and you're talking about a few year product life cycle to really get out on the market. And I would encourage people to really seize that moment, and not to wait for their competitors to. We know that'll drive uptake, right? When you have two oncology drugs and they're neck and neck competitors, and all of a sudden one adds clinically meaningful reductions in pain and fatigue and anxiety and depression and all these things, and starts to take market share. We know that that'll really get the competitor moving. But if I could snap my fingers and make one thing happen, it would be to really encourage people to start now and to get into this space now. It just all the kind of writing is on the wall that that these outcomes will be, as I said in my talk there, it's not just your phone that's going to know your outcomes, your bed, your shirt. I mean, everything you interact with this in the world is going to know whether your drugs are working, and people will insist on those data eventually. So I'd say, start that process now, get ahead of the curve. And that's what I would, if I had a magic wand, I would use it to kind of get all pharma to do that.
Eugene?
I would say financial attribution of the digital companion, and if you can snap and figure out how the uplift is working, because at the end of the day, if the revenue stream and the business model is not working, and it's very difficult to do the financial attribution of these partnerships typically.
Malin, coming to you.
If there is one thing I would stop, is pharma's way of looking at digital health and partnership in the same way as we're looking at it from the drug side, with the processes that we have put in place, with the regulatory landscape that we have. And we have to start to understand and accept that the way we bring digital solutions into the market needs to be fundamentally different compared to how we do drugs. And I think if we change that, there is a lot of really good things that will follow, and it will make it easier for us.
That sounds quite exciting. Now, we're approaching half year. What have you guys got coming up that you'd like to talk about? Anything?
Oh, we have a lot. I think what we are very excited about is also our move into direct to consumer. We haven't done that a lot before, and we are investing and in both in partnerships and solutions for us to be able to interact also direct with the consumer in a meaningful way. To help him or her that is on our medication to get the best out of the experience as possible.
Eugene, what have you got coming up?
So I'm going to actually talk about YourCoach just for a quick second. We just recently released, and I know my, I'll say pharma and colleagues We just released retrospective observational outcome studies. So yes, it's backwards. Yes, it's observational, but these are health coaching interventions, so human interventions. And we're seeing things from anxiety reduction to resilience building just after a few sessions. So we're excited, and we're going to expand this study, coming into this year. So that's one exciting thing. The other exciting thing, and I'm going to put on my other hat on as a steering committee member of Frontiers Health. Yes, we're at Health here, but I'm excited for November 11th, 12th, 12th, 13th. I don't remember. I should know. But excited for Frontiers Health coming up. It's going to be a 10-year anniversary, mic drop moment, and it's going to be #epic. So looking forward to it.
Great. Frontiers Health was a great conference last year, so we'll also be attending. I think in terms of what Click has in store, we've got numerous programs in different stages of clinical trials. So we'll start to see more of those clinical data released from these RCTs. We'll also, I believe, actually be announcing relatively soon our first, 1 or 2 really bona fide combination deals. So where we're really working to create with pharma software enhanced versions of their drugs. So exciting times ahead, and maybe I'll come back to you and we'll make the announcement with you. Yeah.
Yes, that'll be very exciting. I can't wait to find out more about
that.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and stay tuned for more health updates from 2025. Thanks very much.